A stealth fighter changes the balance of power only when a nation can build it repeatedly, consistently, and fast enough to place entire squadrons in the air. That is the real story behind China's J-20A, the Mighty Dragon. The aircraft is already familiar as a symbol of modern Chinese air power. But the more consequential question is no longer whether China can design a fifth-generation fighter. It is whether China can manufacture one at industrial scale, without sacrificing the precision that stealth demands. Recent open-source estimates suggest cumulative J-20 production may be approaching 500 aircraft, although Beijing has not confirmed that figure. The number is debated, and it should be. But even if the estimate proves high, the direction is difficult to ignore. Production continues. New variants have appeared. Automation around Chengdu's advanced fighter manufacturing base is expanding. And unlike the American F-22, whose production line closed years ago, the J-20 remains part of an active industrial system, one that is still learning, still scaling, and still changing. That creates the first divide in how the aircraft is judged. One side sees a rapidly growing stealth fleet that could alter the regional balance of air power through numbers alone. The other sees an aircraft whose true radar signature, sensor performance, engine reliability, and combat effectiveness remain largely hidden. Does quantity itself prove strategic maturity? Or does it prove only the ability to reproduce an untested design? The answer begins far from the runway, inside the production system that gives every aircraft its shape. The first stage is not a complete fighter. It is a collection of structural parts, each one cut, drilled, measured, and moved through the factory, with almost no tolerance for accumulated error. Reporting from Chengdu has described highly automated production cells for advanced fighter structures. These reportedly include digital machining, robotic handling, and autonomous material movement. These systems do not mean that a complete J-20 emerges from a dark building without human involvement. They mean that repetitive, precision-sensitive tasks can be performed for longer periods, with more consistent positioning and less waiting between operations. Inside such a facility, the earliest recognizable elements are not wings or tails. They are frames, bulkheads, attachment points, and reinforced corridors. These structures will later support the intakes, canards, wing roots, internal bays, and twin engines. Thousands of individual components must eventually agree with the same digital geometry. A small error in one frame may appear harmless when inspected alone. But once several sections are joined, that error can become a panel mismatch, a distorted opening, or a surface discontinuity affecting the entire aircraft. Automation reduces variation. Robotic machining repeats the same cut. Digital metrology checks the intended dimensions. Autonomous carts reduce delays between operations. More importantly, each part can be verified before it enters the next stage. That allows defects to be found before they are buried inside a nearly complete airframe. But automation creates a new dependency. The production line is only as reliable as the digital model, machine calibration, inspection logic, and supply chain feeding it. A factory can work faster and still manufacture the wrong geometry with extraordinary consistency. That is why human inspection does not disappear. It changes. Technicians spend less time manually repeating the same operation and more time verifying surfaces, interfaces, machine output, and unexpected deviations. The next challenge is where the J-20 begins to look like itself. Its forward fuselage is unusually long, with a sharply pointed, chined nose. A single canopy is positioned well forward. Two side-mounted, diverterless supersonic intakes sit behind the cockpit. Immediately behind those intakes are the aircraft's large movable canards. Together, these elements create one of the most recognizable fighter silhouettes in service. But they also make the assembly sequence less forgiving. The nose must transition cleanly into the cockpit, intake shoulders, and central fuselage. The intake shells must remain symmetrical, while their raised compression surfaces preserve the intended shape without conventional splitter plates. Behind them, reinforced canard pivots must remain precisely aligned. Every area affects something critical: airflow, control authority, sensor placement, or low-observable shaping. At this stage, the aircraft may still be unpainted. Raw metallic surfaces, dark composite panels, primer-toned sections, open access areas, and temporary fixtures may all exist together. The future shape is visible, but many of the systems that make the aircraft functional are still absent. There may be no canopy glazing, no engines, no operational avionics, and no finished outer surface. What matters is that the long nose, paired intake geometry, canard mounts, and expanding fuselage already belong to one coherent structure. And this is where production speed meets its first physical limit. Major sections cannot simply be forced together because the schedule demands it. Alignment must be proven before the structure is closed. The central fuselage, wings, canards, and tail structures transform the J-20 from a long shell into a complete aerodynamic form. The broad, clipped delta wings must join the fuselage along large root interfaces. The canards must sit at the correct height and angle ahead of the wings. At the rear, two outward-canted vertical tails rise beside a wide, twin-engine body, while ventral surfaces complete the aircraft's distinctive aft geometry. A final assembly jig supports the fuselage at reinforced points and holds it level while heavy sections are moved into position. One wing may be aligned while the opposite side is already fixed. Sensors and laser metrology can check distance, angle, and symmetry before permanent connections are completed. The process appears slow because the visible movement is measured in millimeters, but the consequences extend across 20 meters of aircraft. This is also the stage where a generic fighter can no longer substitute for the real design. Remove the canards, shorten the fuselage, change the intake position. And the aircraft begins to resemble an F-22, an F-35, or China's smaller J-35. The J-20's identity comes from the relationship between its parts, not from any single feature. The nose, canopy, intakes, canards, wings, and twin tails must all occupy the correct positions at the same time. Once the primary airframe is joined, the hardest work becomes less visible. Engines, flight controls, avionics, power systems, landing gear, internal bay mechanisms, wiring, cooling lines, and sensors must be installed inside spaces already defined by the structure. A factory can accelerate the manufacture of frames and panels, but integration still demands access, sequencing, testing, and skilled judgment. The twin engines are installed into separate rear bays inside the wide aft fuselage. Public reporting often focuses on whether a particular J-20 carries the WS-10C or the newer WS-15. But the exact distribution across current production is not sufficiently transparent to treat every aircraft as identical. For manufacturing, the safer and more important point is that each engine must connect correctly to its mounts, fuel delivery system, electrical systems, control links, cooling paths, and exhaust geometry. The same problem appears at the front of the aircraft. Radar, sensors, mission electronics, and flight computers must be positioned without disrupting weight balance, cooling, electrical compatibility, or access for maintenance. Reliable public images of the J-20's internal equipment remain scarce. Any precise description of classified modules would therefore be speculation. What can be said is that advanced fighters depend on the integration of many systems developed separately, but required to behave as one aircraft. This is where production bottlenecks become difficult to see from the outside. A complete-looking airframe may still be weeks away from functioning as an aircraft. One connector installed incorrectly, one cooling path blocked, one actuator misaligned, or one software-controlled subsystem failing its checks. Any one of these can hold the entire unit in place. Structural automation can create more airframes. But only systems integration can transform them into operational machines. For viewers who follow Modus Assembly to understand how industrial power is physically built, this is the point to subscribe. Because the most difficult part is still ahead. Making every completed airframe behave like the same stealth aircraft. That difficulty becomes visible in the surface. Stealth is often discussed as though it were a coating applied at the end. But low observability is a manufacturing discipline spread across the entire aircraft. External edges, panel boundaries, doors, intake surfaces, fasteners, hinges, and access points must all preserve the intended geometry. A design can be stealthy in theory and still lose performance if production variation creates gaps, steps, misalignment, or inconsistent surface treatment. The J-20's grey exterior hides the complexity beneath it. By the finishing stage, the major structure is closed. The canopy is installed, the landing gear is complete, and the engines sit inside the rear fuselage. Technicians can inspect the aircraft under controlled lighting, searching for irregular reflections that reveal uneven surfaces or misaligned panels. Instruments may scan joints or measure contours, while specific areas receive carefully controlled finishing work. Public sources do not reveal the exact chemistry of the aircraft's radar absorbent treatment, nor do they reveal the tolerance applied to every panel. Claims of precise radar cross-section values are therefore impossible to verify independently. But the production problem is clear. If output rises, the factory must reproduce the same external quality across more aircraft, more shifts, more suppliers, and more inspection cycles. Can a rapidly expanding production line preserve the consistency demanded by stealth? Or does speed introduce variations that no public photograph can reveal? That question cannot be answered inside the finishing bay. It moves with the aircraft to the test apron. Before flight, the completed J-20A must prove that its systems respond correctly on the ground. Electrical power is applied. Control surfaces move through functional checks. The canards deflect. The tail surfaces respond. Internal systems report whether commanded movement matches actual position. Landing gear, brakes, hydraulic pressure, cockpit systems, and engine controls are checked before the aircraft is allowed to taxi. An engine run adds vibration, heat, airflow, and acoustic load. Technicians monitor the aircraft while the engines stabilize. Any abnormal response can send the unit back for inspection. Taxi trials then verify steering, braking, and ground handling before the acceptance flight begins. The first flight of a production aircraft is not a dramatic combat demonstration. It is a controlled verification that the machine built inside the factory behaves within expected limits. The pilot checks handling, engine response, flight controls, and system indications. After landing, engineers inspect the aircraft again. They compare recorded data with expectations and resolve discrepancies before delivery. Acceptance testing proves that one aircraft is ready to move forward. it does not prove that the design would dominate an F-22, defeat an F-35, or perform exactly as claimed in wartime. Those comparisons depend on classified sensors, training, support networks, weapons, tactics, maintenance, and combat conditions that public footage cannot reproduce. Testing establishes manufacturing confidence, not universal superiority. Once accepted, the aircraft leaves the factory system and enters an operational one. Finished J-20As appear on flight lines, taxi in sequence, and fly in formations that reveal the scale of China's investment more clearly than any single hero shot. Even without a confirmed fleet total, continued deliveries create more training demand, more maintenance infrastructure, more spare engine requirements, and greater pressure on the supply chain supporting each squadron. This is where the comparison with the F-22 changes. The F-22 remains a formidable aircraft, but its production line is closed. Under the current program, its fleet cannot expand through newly built aircraft. The J-20 line is active, and every improvement in automation, component flow, inspection, and integration can influence future output. The F-35 operates through an even larger, multinational industrial base, making it the more important benchmark for sustained manufacturing scale. So, who is actually ahead? The answer depends on what is being measured. If the question is proven multinational production depth, the F-35 system remains in a different category. If the question is whether China has established a continuing domestic production line for a large stealth fighter, the J-20 already demonstrates that capability. If the question is real combat effectiveness, the public evidence remains insufficient. The J-20's most important achievement may therefore be neither a secret sensor nor a disputed performance figure. It may be the production ecosystem behind it. Digital machining, structural automation, disciplined integration, surface control, acceptance testing, and an active production line capable of learning from every aircraft it builds. The strategic shift begins before a fighter reaches the runway. It begins when factories can transform complex geometry into repeatable output, and when every completed aircraft becomes data for the next one. Modus Assembly follows these production systems because the next change in global air power may become visible on an assembly line, long before it appears in a headline. Subscribe and stay with the investigation.